Kylian Mbappe is a doubt for matchday 2 after a suspected nose break against Austria. The big question is, do we keep or sell him in Euro Fantasy? I'm going to discuss exactly that in today's video alongside the latest update regarding him. And also I will be showing you the best limitless draft going into matchday 2. So as always, if you look forward to today's video, make sure you do drop a like and of course smash that subscribe button for daily Euro Fantasy content. Enough waffling, let's get into today's video. So of course, Kylian Mbappe right now is the talk of the town, not only because of his performance in the game against Austria, but importantly because of that suspected nose break in the 75th minute. So the latest update from Fabrizio Romano is that the French Federation confirmed that Kylian Mbappe has broken his nose and he will undergo surgery in Dusseldorf, which is not ideal preparation for matchday 2 when we consider they're only playing on Friday, which is a few days away. However, we do have a latest update from Julian Rons, who is a very credible account, who has stated that Mbappe update, no operation needed. He left the hospital in Dusseldorf at 1 AM after some positive news and diagnosis on his nose. They're hoping to play in Friday against the Netherlands with a mask. A decision will be made closer to the game. So he is confirmed that he has broken his nose. However, surgery is not required. And I think that was the big thing right now. If he was requiring surgery, that could have actually had a legitimate impact on him throughout the entire tournament. However, with this news, it does sound like if they can get by in the Netherlands game without him, they will. But of course, if they have to play with a customized mask, then he is going to do so against the Netherlands. So good news regarding Mbappe, not good news about matchday 2, because we're not really going to have any confirmation of whether he will be in the squad, considering the deadline is a few days before when France actually play. So that's your latest update regarding Mbappe. From a Euro Fantasy perspective, now let's talk about exactly what you should do with him. So if you're one of the 75% of managers that owns Kylian Mbappe, then of course you do have a big decision to make right now. What do you do with him? Obviously the update that I provided with you isn't concrete evidence. So the first thing that you need to do, the priority thing, is wait and see. The deadline isn't until tomorrow, Wednesday, 2 PM with the first kickoff. So you don't actually have to make a decision right now with Kylian Mbappe. And as I stated, they are going to get a mask for him. He has a broken nose, but they are going to make an assessment on him. So I wouldn't panic right now and just sell him from your teams, because you'll be really annoyed at yourself if he is available. Now, what for context, I'll put the fixtures up just to get an idea on the timescale for Mbappe's game. So of course, the deadline is on Wednesday, which isn't ideal considering France play on Friday. Now, on paper, this was always the tricky game for France against the Netherlands. So even if Mbappe was available, I would look at this game and think, well, it's not the best fixture that I expect huge upside from him. So if you do look to sell him, we'll come on to the points in a minute, I don't think it's the worst fixture to get rid of him, because if France do beat Netherlands, then they have a final game on Tuesday against Poland, and realistically, if France win that game in matchday 2, they will be qualified. I can't see them taking the risk on Kylian Mbappe. I think they would have taken the risk regardless, but now he has a broken nose, doesn't really make a lot of sense. So we need to monitor, obviously, the press conferences before Wednesday deadline, just to see if we get anything regarding Kylian Mbappe, because of course we have a lot of journalists on Twitter, on X, that do update us regularly. So I think there are 3 different routes you could go for with Kylian Mbappe if you do own him. Obviously, if you don't own him right now, someone like me, I'm kind of curious to see where everybody goes with this. So option A is that you play your limitless chip in matchday 2. Now, a reminder, the limitless chip basically allows you to have unlimited transfers, unlimited budget, but after that matchday is finished, it will revert back to your previous matchday 1 squad if you were to use it in matchday 2. So there is definitely benefit around using this chip. Reason being is this: if you have doubts about Mbappe playing in matchday 2, you play your limitless chip, have a completely new team, knowing that when we come to matchday 3, Mbappe will then be back in your team. The problem is with how the fixtures are lying. If you were to do that, and then you get to matchday 3 and they've won, and Mbappe is just naturally rested against Poland, then it hasn't actually proved to be a good decision, because of course you were kind of hedging the fact that Mbappe would play in matchday 3. The thing I will say is, what you could do is then transition into option B. So if you had problems with your team, let's say Mbappe, let's say you had the Belgian defender De Coupe and a few other problems like Frimpong, you could use your limitless chip in matchday 2, obviously allowing you to have all of the premium assets in those respective fixtures. Then if we get the update that Mbappe is then not going to play against Poland because France have qualified and you still have issues with your team, you could then transition to the all-in chip strategy, which is basically limitless in match day 2, and then you play your wild card in match day 3, effectively giving you a free hit, and of course a free hit in the knockout stages when we all get unlimited transfers back. The problem with this, of course, you lose your wildcard later on in the competition, so that in the quarterfinals, if some favourites get knocked out, you might struggle to build a team without that wildcard available to you. But this is definitely a nice option to have if you go around the limitless route, and then Mbappe is, of course, ruled out for match day 3. Finally, the last option is you sell Mbappe for another premium like Cristiano Ronaldo, and then what you do is you probably then avoid him in match day 3 unless there was an upset and France had to beat Poland. Then you could easily just use one of those free transfers to bring Mbappe back in. The thing that I will say is this, and it's really important: if you don't use a chip in match day 2, you 100% will use your limitless chip in match day 3, because the limitless chip offers no value in the knockout stages. As I mentioned, if you use your limitless chip, your team then reverts back to the team previously. So, for example, you get unlimited transfers in the knockout stage. In the quarterfinals, if you were to then use your limitless chip, we'd get to the semis with the team that you had in the round of 16, and all of those teams could be knocked out by then. So do not be using your limitless chip in the knockout stages. So I think what you could do, for example, is sell Mbappe in this game week if you wanted to, bring in a premium like Ronaldo or someone who knows definitely going to play, knowing that in match day 3, regardless, you're using your limitless chips. So if you have to bring Mbappe back into your team, you can do so. And I think that is going to be an option that a lot of managers are going to lean towards right now. Take the risk of selling Mbappe, knowing they can bring him back in a limitless option in match day 3. Of course, the fourth option, you just keep Mbappe, but you know the risks that are entailed with that. So that's kind of a big update on Mbappe. I think if it was me, I would sell him and then use my limitless chip in match day 3, unless I was in a really bad spot and I needed a chip this game week. So on the subject of limitless, I wanted to focus the rest of this video on building the best limitless draft, because I know a few people are definitely on that right now. So when we build a limitless team, of course, we are fully focusing on those fixtures in that specific game week. Of course, that is going to be match day 2 for us. So we have a limited budget, so we can spend whatever we want on players. And I wanted to look at the fixtures in general to see which teams in particular we should target. So on the Wednesday, I think all 3 games are targetable. I think Croatian options, German options, and Swiss options are the ones that we would lean towards. On Thursday, I think you can still back England players, 100% their options. I think with the attacking output Spain showed, they could be some valuable assets in offence. And Italy's DiMarco is always a great option for our limitless teams based on what we saw from him. Looking at the Friday fixtures, none of these really excite me, to be honest with you. I saw nothing from Ukraine to think their assets are great. Slovakia, a really hard team to predict. Poland, Austria just feels like a really, really scrappy game. And Netherlands, France could be anyone's game. But with Mbappe potentially being out, I don't really fancy any of the French assets, although I do think Griezmann could be a good differential if you wanted to go there. So then we look towards the Saturday. Georgia, Czech, again, very difficult game to predict, but I do think Portugal are good in any fixture. And if you wanted to take that risk on Belgium, knowing that they have to beat Romania, who had a really impressive 3-0 victory, then you could go for Belgium options. I know Lukaku burnt a lot of people, but he did get the chances in that game. So for me, I think all games on Wednesday are targetable. England are always an option that we can consider. And then I think Saturday, the big boys, Portugal and Belgium, are the ones that we can target as well. But I think the fixtures are actually quite difficult. So let's move on to a limitless team, because I do think I've kind of solved the problem here. So the limitless chip is always an exciting one. I really wish I had it in FPL, because it's similar to a free hit, but you get a limited budget as well, which is always exciting. And it's really important that you do actually really make the use of that unlimited budget, because you don't have to bring in the worst alternative of players. You really do need to go all out, and it's why it's important to make sure you use it in the correct game week. And I do think there is some value of using it in match day 2, even if your hand has been forced a little bit to use it. So here is how I would build a match day 2 limitless draft. And a quick reminder, if you didn't know, go over to the transfer section and there'll be at the top a wildcard or limitless option where you can make those moves. Just remember, if you activate it, I don't think you can reverse it. So taking a look at the limitless team that I've built here, of course, I don't think you have to go all out of budget, because I still think there are just fantastic enablers that are not actually any worse off than the premium. So in terms of the goalkeeper options, we've currently got Croatia's goalkeeper, Livakovic. I do think, even though Croatia conceded 3 against Spain, I think it is a good fixture for them. I rate Albania, it's worth noting, but clean sheets are few and far to come by in this Euros right now, and I do think Croatia probably have the higher odds of doing so. And the same is going to apply for Switzerland's goalkeeper Jan Sommer with that game against Scotland. I'm expecting a better performance from Scotland, it has to be said, but I still think Switzerland are too good for them, and I think Jan Sommer is a great pickup at 5 million. But of course, budget really isn't an issue here. But when I look at the big games, France, Netherlands, Italy, Spain, that rules out all of those defences right now. So I think that is the best combination in goal going into a limitless draft. Now, looking at the defenders, Cancelo, of course, is a brilliant option, but of course, at the time of recording, we haven't actually seen Portugal play right now, so there could be doubts about him, there might not be. But right now, I think Cancelo is a great pickup against that Turkey team. But again, I need to see Turkey to see what kind of team we're getting this year. Vardial at 5.5, again, just a piece of that Croatian defence. We will see their team before the deadline. So if we do get maybe him playing at centre-back, it might be worth changing the limitless draft pick in that Croatian defence for maybe one of the full-backs. But at the time recording, I saw enough from Vardial to think he does offer some attacking potential if he is playing as more of a left-back. Trent is still in the team. However, I do have my doubts if maybe Southgate looks to move him out of the centre midfield. Maybe he goes for a bit more of a stability pick like an Adam Wharton or a Gallagher alongside Declan Rice. So hopefully we'll get some information about that. But if he continues to play at centre mid with all those set pieces, with open play, threat, I do like him as the England choice right now. Mittelstadt, a perfect example of, I don't really think I need to go to Rudiger, even though he is cheap at 4 million. His attacking output was crazy in that game, getting so high, multiple shots. So Mittelstadt is the pick in the Germany team against Hungary. And finally, a bit of a rogue pick is going to be DiMarco. The fixture is not ideal at all against Spain, but DiMarco was phenomenal in that first game, flying down the wing, almost playing like a left winger and taking corners. Even though he has Spain, he is one of those few players that has that real high ceiling. So I think he would come into a limitless team regardless. Now, moving into the midfield, of course, we have no budget here, so we can go for whoever we want. And I've gone for the double Germany midfield of Musiala and Gundogan. Controversially, no Florian Wirtz, but when I watched that first game, Musiala was just incredible, and I kind of would be a little bit fearful not to have Musiala, and especially with a game like Euro Fantasy, you just want to own the fun players, and he is definitely one of those. But Gundogan was the one. Even though he didn't get the big returns, I felt like he was incredibly unlucky and a bit more creative than that of Florian Wirtz. He kept making those intelligent third-man runs into the box, and it was only a matter of time until he was going to get on the end of one of those, and he did countless times. And I do think against Hungary, as long as he doesn't play the deeper role, he is still a fantastic option in this Germany team. Now, Bukayo Saka, controversially, is going to be my pick in the England team. I think Bellingham is still an outstanding pick, and of course, you have no budget issues here, so you could easily upgrade it to Bellingham. But for me, I'm leaning towards Bukayo Saka. I just know exactly where he's going to play on that team. When they're under the cosh, Saka doesn't really come back too deep. So I do think that he at 8.5, even though budget isn't an issue, is still an unbelievable option in that England midfield. I would rule out Phil Foden because of the risk of minutes. It's him versus Bellingham, and I'm currently leaning towards Bukayo Saka. Finally, Luka Modric, just because of the fixture and obviously him being the talisman in that team, I would like to think he will step up and on a few set pieces as well. And Bruno Fernandes, again, I'm making the assumption Portugal are going to be very, very good in match day 1. And Bruno Fernandes' returns have been incredible of late. Finally, the forwards. Now, controversially, Romelu Lukaku is in this team. I know he missed a lot of chances in match day 1, but for me, when I look at it, as long as he's getting the big chances, I'm more than happy to still put him in the team. Now, it could easily be Kai Havertz, but I would have to change one of the other Germany midfielders or defenders. And right now, against Romania, they were fantastic in match day 1, but Belgium's backs are against the wall right now. They have to win this game, otherwise they could be out of the Euros. And I still back Lukaku to do well. So he's in the team, controversially. Harry Kane, if he doesn't score in one game, I always back him to score in the next. So I feel that against Denmark. And finally, Cristiano Ronaldo against Turkey. Maybe a bit of a risk potentially because of his age. He might not be able to play match day 1 followed by match day 2. But we will get that information once that first game has happened for Portugal. So that is the Limitless Draft. Few tweaks definitely could be made, and of course we will get some more information from the Portugal game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what your plan is with your chips, because I think this is a good option for maybe those managers that have lost Kylian and Mbappe, but I also do think just using a transfer and Limitless in matchday 3 is also an optimal move. Yes, guys, okay, that's going to wrap up today's video. A little bit of an update on Mbappe and, of course, my Limitless team reveal. I will be dropping my team selection final later on this evening or tomorrow morning. So if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as we'll be dropping that, especially someone who doesn't own Mbappe. And I do have major problems in my team like Frimpong. You definitely want to stay up to date with exactly what I'm doing, because it could be a little bit rogue. As always, please do drop a like on the video if it did provide any value. And if you have any questions, please do pop them in the comment section. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you very soon. Take care. Cheers.